Now, it was announced this week that job centre staff have been told that they're free to use public money to fund tattoo removal if the inking is preventing a job seeker taking up employment. So I'm asking, 1, should the taxpayer pay for the removal of tattoos? But 2, more interestingly to me, what's behind the apparent resurgence in tattooing? Is it, as I suspect, something that is now sweeping amongst young people in the land, whereas once in my early days it was the province of ex-servicemen, mainly from the wartime, and then there was a period where there were virtually no tattoos at all. There was a period where I don't remember seeing a single tattoo shop, but now I'm seeing them ever more gloriously technicoloured. Virtually everywhere. I saw a lot of them in Glasgow. I saw a fantastic-looking one in Portobello Road today, in the sunshine. A very lovely day, I must say. Here's Curly Moore, who's the resident tattooist at the Tattoo Club of Great Britain. Curly, thanks very much for joining us, my friend.
Yeah, no problem. Good evening.
Good evening. Now, first of all, tell us, what is the Tattoo Club of Great Britain, and what does it mean being the resident tattooist? I'm genuinely interested in that.
Well, I'm just the artist who works in the studio that is in the building that is part of the Tattoo Club of Great Britain.
Where is that, though? I've never heard of the Tattoo Club.
It's in Oxford.
Uh-huh.
And it's an organisation for professional tattoo artists.
Now, is that growing? Am I right, first of all, Curly, in saying that it's a growing trade?
Unfortunately, it's exploded and become mammoth. It's everywhere now. As you say, there's tattoo shops springing up all over the place, unfortunately, I'd say.
Why, unfortunately?
Well, because on the whole, in my humble opinion, it would appear that many of these people are definitely not highly skilled.
So, are a lot of these parlours cowboys, effectively?
In my humble opinion, yeah. I mean, the thing is, what people have to do is they have to look at the photos of the artist, the individual artist's work, before they can be sure that the person knows what they're doing. And it's so easy to buy the tools nowadays that it's just, anyone who's been told by their mum that they were good at drawing when they were a little kid thinks they can become a tattoo artist now.
Is there no regulation of that business? Do you not have to have qualifications?
You need a license from the health authority, but there's no rule to say you have to be good at it.
Really?
Unfortunately, yeah. No, this is true, yeah.
I thought you needed diplomas, certificates, and all of that.
No.
So how does I mean, I'm not encouraging people to have tattoos. I'm sorry to say to you, Curly, I don't even...
No, that's fine.
I'm
happy with that. I kind of don't either.
But if somebody was going to get one, how would they go about making sure that they... Because, of course, if the person makes a Horlicks of it, it's going to be with you for a very long time.
Yeah, then they're in trouble. I mean, there's no guarantee ever, because all humans make mistakes. But if you look at someone's portfolio of work and it's of a quality that you would think is acceptable on your skin, then you're pretty much in reasonably safe hands, aren't you?
Yeah, except you don't know that it's genuinely their portfolio. I mean, if there's no regulations as such...
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's a minefield as well.
Somebody could be showing pictures of your work.
Yeah, I do believe these things do happen, but you have to... There's reputation. You build up your reputation, and if the artist hasn't got a good reputation and they show you some work, then you could be wise to be cautious.
So there's no kind of seal of approval, there's no official standard, there's no, like you get seals of other trades and guilds that testify to the basic competence of the person. There's none of that.
Unfortunately, there isn't. There was talk about it years ago, because it is a problem. But who's going to fund all of this, and who's going to grade people? It's quite complicated. And the other problem there is it drives it underground, where it already is occurring in massive.
Well, let me ask
amounts.
You about that. What is behind this wave of tattooing in the country?
I don't know, other than it's a few people on the television. I mean, for example, Cheryl Cole got a little piece of tattooing, is some kind of hideous little mark on the side of her hand, and for some tragic reason, loads of sheep-like humans want to copy that, and it's kind of made And same with David Beckham. You know, people want to copy these
Are
people.
they real tattoos that David Beckham has, or are these washable things?
No, they're
Transfers.
real.
Transfers, we used to call them.
No, they're real ones done in Manchester.
Well, he's really quite heavily tattooed then, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't call it heavily, but it's got sleeve.
Now, so you don't know why it's become so fashionable, and it's taken you a bit by surprise, is it?
Well, not really. It's been growing since kind of the mid-'80s, I would say. There's been a gradual increase in the interest in tattooing. And then the amount of magazines increased, and then with the internet, it's become so accessible that it's kind of mushroomed out of control.
Mm. And what kind of tattoo? I mean, when I was a kid, it was an anchor to show you'd been in the Royal Navy, or it was Mum and Dad, or love and hate on the knuckles. Well, I mean, it was as basic as that.
Yeah, some of those classics are still being done in various kind of levels of quality, and they can be done nicely, but I mean, for myself, I specialize in big abstract work, more like designs that fit the body rather than little stickers that you stick on the body.
Uh-huh.
So it's very much different from that kind of stuff that you're talking about.
And what about the guy that gets, you know, Yvonne tattooed on his back and then splits up with her and marries Madeline? What happens? What happens in those circumstances?
Well, there are options. You can get it lasered or you can get it covered. But, I mean, that's why you really ought not to get names unless they're your offspring.
Yeah, because that never changes. Wives and husbands come and go, of course. And what about the gender balance, Curly? I mean, it seems to me that whereas when I was young, the idea of a woman with a tattoo was simply totally ridiculous. But a lot of women now are getting tattoos. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, it's still mainly male, but there are a lot of women. Well, my partner, for example, she's absolutely covered in them head to foot, you know. And some people would find that unpleasant to look at, which is amusing, but we like it, you know. And women are definitely getting more and more tattooed.
Well, lastly, Curly, I mean, what about this statement that the public can be asked to pay for, through the job centres, the removal of tattoos? That's a pretty unpopular move, I can tell you.
I would say it's a disgrace. I think people should take control of themselves and be accountable for their actions. You know, if you get some rubbish written on your neck, see, incidentally, I wouldn't tattoo a chap's neck with whatever they want on it. I just don't do that. And tattooists traditionally wouldn't do hands, face and neck unless you're heavily tattooed already. But some of these new people will do anything on anyone, but they shouldn't. But if they have got it done, well, that's their own problem, isn't it? They've got to live with it.
What's the cost? What's the cost of a big abstract piece like you do?
Well, they vary so much. I mean, I spent 35 hours on my young lady's leg, you know, so that would have, in theory, cost thousands of pounds. But, you know, she cooks nice food and does my garden, so it's all good.
Fair exchange is no robbery. Curly Moore, the resident tattooist at the Tattoo Club of Great Britain. Where do you stand on the great tattoo debate? Should the public be paying for the removal of tattoos to help people get a job? And what do you think of tattooing in general? Are you a woman with a tattoo? Are you a man with a tattoo? And tell me about your superstition. I do really, on Friday the 13th, want to know why we're still, in 2011, saluting magpies and holding on to our collars as we drive past hearses.